Hello friends, welcome back to Life and Joy in Inquiry. Over the past 7 sessions, we have explored many important questions together. We looked at intelligence, awareness, the body, desire, emotions, psychological happiness, intuition, creativity, and joy. Rather than accepting ready-made answers, we try to observe life directly and understand what truly moves us toward happiness and away from unnecessary unhappiness. In this final session, let us bring together everything we have discovered so far. We'll summarize the key insights, understand the 3 forms of happiness, and see how we can live a more intelligent, peaceful, and joyful life. As always, these are not beliefs to accept blindly. They are invitations to observe in your own life what we have discovered so far. As we come to the end of this journey, let us take a moment to reflect on what we have discovered together. Every human being, knowingly or unknowingly, seeks happiness. Although our paths may be different, the destination we hope to reach is often the same. Some seek happiness through work, others through relationships, entertainment, education, achievement, wealth, service, or countless other pursuits. Throughout this inquiry, we observed that happiness is not just one experience. It expresses itself in different ways. We identified 3 important forms of happiness. Pleasure arises when the body's genuine needs are fulfilled. Psychological happiness comes from living according to our nature and responding intelligently to life. Joy quietly appears when we appreciate life deeply and participate in its creativity. But simply knowing these 3 forms of happiness is not enough. We also explored an equally important question. How can we experience these forms of happiness without creating unnecessary suffering? Through our observations, we discovered that intelligence is not about chasing happiness. Intelligence helps us understand ourselves, reduce unnecessary suffering, and create the right conditions for pleasure, psychological happiness, and joy to arise naturally. Let us now summarize the practical principles we discovered for living with these 3 forms of happiness. What is pleasure? Pleasure is a natural feeling that arises when the genuine needs of the body are fulfilled. When we are hungry and eat, thirsty and drink, or tired and rest, the body naturally experiences pleasure. There is nothing wrong with pleasure. In fact, it plays an important role in maintaining the health and well-being of the body. However, throughout our inquiry, we also discovered that pleasure can either remain a simple bodily experience or gradually become the beginning of unnecessary psychological suffering. The difference depends on how we relate to it. Let us now summarize the simple principles we discovered for experiencing pleasure intelligently. What can you do? Patiently wait until genuine bodily needs arise instead of constantly seeking pleasurable experiences. Satisfy those needs naturally and intelligently. Be completely present while enjoying pleasure. For example, while eating, consciously eat. Avoid distractions such as mobile phones or television. Give your complete attention to the experience itself. Allow pleasurable experiences to come and go naturally without trying to prolong them. Take good care of your body through proper food, adequate sleep, regular exercise, yoga, and meditation. A healthy body has greater sensitivity, energy, and balance, allowing us to experience pleasure in the right way. What you should not do? Don't dwell on pleasurable memories after the experience has passed. Don't repeatedly chase the same pleasure in the hope of recreating it. Don't become psychologically attached to pleasurable experiences. Remember that attachment to pleasure gradually becomes desire, the fear of losing it, and unnecessary psychological suffering. What is psychological happiness? Psychological happiness is the sense of fulfillment, meaning, and contentment that comes from living according to your own nature. Unlike pleasure, which is connected to the body's needs, psychological happiness arises from the way we live, work, learn, relate to others, and respond to life's situations. Throughout our inquiry, we discovered that psychological happiness is not something that can be permanently achieved or possessed. It naturally appears when our way of living is in harmony with our own intelligence and nature. Let us now summarize the principles we discovered for experiencing psychological happiness in a healthy and balanced way. What can you do? Use your natural talents and strengths as often as possible. Follow your intuition instead of blindly following the expectations of others. Build healthy relationships based on understanding, respect, and freedom. Choose work that is meaningful and allows your abilities to express themselves. Continue learning, growing, and remaining curious throughout life. Practice minimalism or essentialism by focusing your time and energy on what truly matters. Live according to your own intelligence rather than borrowed ideas, opinions, or beliefs. What you should not do? Don't chase results, because results are never completely within your control. Don't compare your life with the lives of others. Don't blindly follow traditions, social expectations, or popular opinions without understanding them for yourself. Don't become trapped in excessive thinking and unnecessary worrying. Don't try to live someone else's life instead of discovering your own path. Don't try to control other people, including your family and friends. Allow them the freedom to live according to their own understanding. Don't accumulate more than you truly need. Owning more than necessary often creates the burden of maintaining possessions and the fear of losing them, reducing the very happiness we hoped they would bring. What is joy? Joy is the quiet feeling that appears when life is appreciated deeply. Unlike pleasure, it is not dependent on satisfying the body's needs. Unlike psychological happiness, it is not dependent on achievement or success. Throughout our inquiry, we discovered that joy often appears on its own when the mind is free from unnecessary craving, excessive thinking, and constant seeking. It arises naturally when we are fully present, appreciate the creativity of life, and participate in it with intelligence and wonder. Let us now summarize the principles we discovered for allowing joy to become a natural part of our lives. What can you do? Appreciate nature and the beauty that surrounds you every day. Appreciate life, even in its simplest moments. Appreciate your own fresh and intelligent responses to life's situations instead of merely repeating old habits. Appreciate the creativity continuously unfolding in nature, in people, and within yourself. If you believe in God, appreciate the great artist through the beauty and creativity expressed in life. What you should not do? Don't chase joy, because the moment we begin pursuing it as another goal, it tends to move further away. Don't try to manufacture joy through force or constant effort. Don't wait for special occasion or extraordinary experiences to feel joyful. Joy is often found in the ordinary moments of everyday life when we observe them with attention, appreciation, and wonder. The biggest discovery. Throughout this journey, one insight has gradually become clearer with every session. We often believed that the more intensely we pursued happiness, the happier we would become. But our observations revealed something quite different. When pleasure was chased beyond the genuine needs of the body, it gradually turned into attachment, desire, and the fear of losing what we enjoyed. When psychological happiness was pursued through constant comparison, achievement, or trying to control life, it often gave rise to anxiety, frustration, and disappointment. Even joy seemed to disappear the moment we tried to possess it or reproduce it. The real problem was not pleasure, psychological happiness, or joy themselves. The problem was the constant chasing. This is where intelligence becomes important. Intelligence helps us observe these patterns clearly. It helps us recognize when the mind is creating unnecessary suffering through attachment, craving, comparison, excessive thinking, or fear. Once these patterns are clearly seen, unnecessary suffering naturally begins to reduce. Perhaps this has been the biggest discovery of our entire journey. The more we chased happiness, the farther it seemed to move away. The less we chased it, the more naturally it appeared. If this has been our biggest discovery, then it naturally invites a different way of living. Instead of spending our lives chasing happiness, perhaps we can begin by living more intelligently. Intelligence begins with caring for the body, because a healthy body provides the energy, sensitivity, and balance needed to live well. It continues by understanding desire, fear, and emotions, so that we do not unnecessarily create suffering through constant seeking, chasing, or craving. Trust life instead of trying to control every outcome. Stay with the present moment instead of constantly living in memories of the past or expectations of the future. Listen to your intuition when life presents choices, and allow your responses to arise from clear observation rather than from old habits or fears. Respond to each situation creatively instead of mechanically. Appreciate life as it unfolds, whether it appears as nature, relationships, work, challenges, or moments of quiet beauty. Rather than forcing life to move according to our plans, patiently allow the next moment to unfold naturally and respond intelligently to the opportunities it brings. Perhaps this is what living intelligently truly means, not chasing happiness, but living in such a way that pleasure, psychological happiness, and joy are free to appear naturally in their own time naturally. As we come to the end of this journey, one simple understanding remains. Throughout these sessions, we observed the body, desire, emotions, psychological happiness, intuition, creativity, and joy. We discovered that intelligence is not about collecting more knowledge. It is about understanding ourselves and reducing the unnecessary suffering that we unknowingly create. Our inquiry has led us to a simple conclusion. The purpose of life is happiness. But happiness cannot be obtained by chasing it. The more we chased pleasure, psychological happiness, and joy, the more they seemed to slip away. The moment we stopped chasing and began living intelligently, they naturally found their place in our lives. So, care for your body. Understand desire, fear, and emotions. Trust life instead of trying to control everything. Follow your intuition. Appreciate the creativity that is continuously unfolding within you and around you. Respond to each moment with freshness instead of habit. Then something remarkable begins to happen. There is no need to chase pleasure. There is no need to chase psychological happiness. There is no need to chase joy. Instead, patiently trust life and respond intelligently to the opportunities it presents. When the conditions are right, pleasure, psychological happiness, and joy arise naturally. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope this inquiry has encouraged you not merely to think differently, but to observe your own life more deeply. And finally, please don't accept this simply because you've heard it here. Observe it in your own life.